pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda today, we have the approval of minutes of August 10th, 2023. We have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Carlson, seconded by Commissioner Brooks. Any discussion on the minutes? I think everything looked good. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oops.
I'm gonna abstain.
Did abstain? 401 for approval. Thank you. Public participation, we got a packed crowd tonight. We're just holding back. So, Director of Parks and Recreation report.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to September, I guess, back to school. I just want to start, we have a new face tonight. As you may recall, Jennifer Riel was our temporary recording clerk through the summer and for the Recreation Commission meetings, and her last meeting was August 10th. We just want to wish her well as she starts the next chapter in her career out in Western New York. But I would like to introduce Julie Fockingham, who is been working with the Land Use Committee and has agreed to take on the recording clerk role for the Recreation Commission. So tonight is her first meeting with us. If we could just make it a little easy for her, if you guys haven't introduced yourselves, so if you could just go quickly and introduce yourself so she can put a name with a face.
Hi, Jeremy Brooks, the school committee liaison to the Recreation Committee.
Hi, Bill Gaffney, planning board.
Dave Norton, Chairman, Commission.
Hi, Julie. Steve Nelson. I'm a member of the Recreation Commission.
Hi, Julie. Lindsay Carlson, member of the Recreation Commission.
All right. Oh, Brendan Egan, Director of Parks and Recreation. Sorry.
Kelly Lehman, Assistant Director of the Parks and Recreation Department.
Nice
Thank
to meet
you. Thank you for, we finally connected last week, and she was able to start tonight, so.
I know that for a fact Kelly's a very happy person right now.
I sure am.
Happy New Year. Thank you for
Yes.
having me.
She was watching a lot of video last week. So thank you.
All right, just getting into some of the fields and facilities, the maintenance section of our report. Our maintenance division has been busy with getting the schools ready for the start of school on August 30th. All the schools have been cut and trimmed and got to as many of the overgrown bushes that they could, cleaned everything up before the start of school. There were some trees that had been taken down over the summer at Pine Glen, and we had gone through and cleaned up the areas that the stumps had been ground. But we went and cleaned up the areas, put some loam down and some seed, and had it taped off, as those little feet don't mind what they're running through on their way to and from school. Hopefully that helped, but there's no irrigation on the fronts of the school, so we'll rely on Mother Nature to help with the grass growth there. And then they installed a temporary portable Gaga ball pit up at Fox Hill that was purchased through the PTO. We'll move that as we get to winter. They'll be able to move it up onto the blacktop, so they'll be able to continue to play on a surface throughout the winter. And also drain the wading pool, and they continue to prepare adult softball fields for the playoffs. I think we're hoping to finish up this week with the adult softball playoffs, and then they've been keeping up with the mowing and trimming. We have a couple seasonal help still on that are helping out, and then of course lining and laying out all the fields. We don't have all of the fields laid out yet, but the majority of them have been laid out and lined. I think we're waiting on an 11v11 soccer field over at Francis Wyman. Once we take down the temporary baseball fence there, they lay out a full-size soccer field there. So we have stuff everywhere, probably more than we have in the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years. We're using Rahanis, Simons, Marvin, Rotary, Mary Cummings, Memorial, Marshall Simons, the high school, MITRE. So we're using all over the place. Wildwood for soccer. Soccer has taken on a lot this year. Their numbers have gone up a little bit from what I understand. So our staff is, has their work cut out for them going into the fall. Hopefully, I know this week's supposed to be rainy, but hopefully it kind of normalizes a little bit so they can stay on a consistent cutting schedule. But when you get rainy days, it throws things off. There's a group of fields that we like to cut twice a week, but we always can't get to that when we get weather like this. And, they were able to catch up a little during that hot stretch. You also don't want them out there, without shade and stuff for too long, so trying to get out early in the mornings and get as much done as possible. So we are continuing forward on all of those tasks, and we're hoping to keep a couple of the seasonals a little longer this year until Columbus Day, and it's something we'll work out with the BMEA with the length of time that they stay on. Next item, the Francis Wyman Playground. So in preparation for the new playground that will be installed there, our maintenance staff was responsible for removing the existing structure, swing sets, one swing set. They had some rubber mats that were down under the swing set to make it accessible, but then under that was a layer of asphalt. So getting all of that up, and some of the older benches that have been out there for a while, removing those. And the new playground equipment was delivered on the 29th of August, the 28th of August, and the contractor is expected to begin installing the new playground at some point in September. And then as we head get into the fall a little bit more, our staff recently applied the grub control fertilizer to many of our athletic fields. We've also put out what's called inflow onto the infields. It just helps. The inflow is a granular product that just goes onto an infield and it gets worked in. It just helps absorb during rains, heavy rains. It's not magic. It doesn't take all the water, but it also doesn't dry out the field like some of the older products that have been out there, causing in dry spells to have really dusty fields. So they've been doing that. And then we'll get ready to aerate in mid-September, followed by overseeding. So the majority of our fields look really nice. They've been, doing a good job sticking to the program. So we do appreciate that, their efforts with that. Rohannes Park, it does appear that we have a return of some friends in the stream who have created a nice dam. It's pretty sizable, and it has caused water to come onto the lower soccer fields on the lower part of Rohannes, but after this weekend, it's encroached onto neighbors' properties on Susan Lane as well. So we're working with the Board of Health. We'll work with Conservation on what we can do there to help correct that problem.
Question, Dave?
Go ahead, Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you. Rather than wait till the end, Brendan, on the issue of the beaver dam, the regulations prevent us from at least removing the dam? I understand we can't catch the beavers right now, but can we remove the dam to alleviate the flooding?
So we do have to get permission from Conservation to go in and disrupt that. So it's all, a lot of it started coming up today, and with that, I don't want to talk before I have what we can physically do and not do, but it's something we're working on. So we went, I left a message for John Keeley, Conservation Agent, late this afternoon. So I'm sure we'll talk tomorrow and I'll have more information that I can share.
When is John leaving?
I don't know an official date, and even though it was announced.
I think it's out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the date.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank
Yep,
you.
good. Continue, Brendan.
Okay, thank you. So the next item I have is Parks and Recreation Department Hall of Fame. With let me just, with COVID, we've kind of, this has gotten waylaid a little bit, but we're back into an every other year nomination and induction for for candidates for the Hall of Fame. So we received 4 nominations to the Parks and Recreation Department Hall of Fame this year. The nominations represent 3 of our 4 eligible categories, and they include partnering organizations, commissioner, and employee. This year, we are excited to announce that Steve Nugent's Karate Institute and Herb Chambers Family of Auto Dealerships will be inducted as partnering organizations, Doug Gillingham as an employee, and Mark Sherwood as a commissioner. All these candidates are deserving of the Hall of Fame and have contributed to the success and growth of the department. We will be honoring them at our October 2nd Recreation Commission meeting with a short ceremony at the beginning of the meeting. Both of the partnering organizations have been involved with our department for well over 10 years. I think Steve Nugent, as long as he has been in business, I think he's 31 or 32 years now with the town. We've done programming with him. I remember when I started in 1999, he was already, he was doing programs then, and a lot of them at our place, and then as his business grew, we moved down there. Herb Chambers has been a great supporter of ours for at least the last 12, 15 years. Sponsoring the fireworks at Celebrate Burlington, and there's been other points where we've looked for some assistance with the border there with Marvin Field, and his general manager, Jerry Saloy, has been great to work with and very accommodating. So they are very deserving partnering organizations. Doug Gillingham was a Town of Burlington employee and former park superintendent. I think he gave 37 years, if I remember correctly, to the town. And obviously, we know the influence that his parents had on the Gillingham boys, which is why we have a wonderful treehouse. Part of the reason we have a wonderful treehouse, along with the Simons Trust. But Doug, was heavily involved in the department from a park superintendent standpoint through the 90s and into the 2000s, at a time when the department was changing and going to one director. And Doug oversaw a lot of projects, probably each of the playgrounds as they were redone. And the last one was redone. Well, we did Regan Park about 6 years ago, but before that, they were all, they were done. The last one was done, I think, in '99. So, and then Mark Sherwood is our longest-serving recreation commissioner. I was fortunate to work with him for a couple of years. When I first started, Mark started in 1977 as a commissioner and retired as a commissioner in 2001. And was involved in a lot of the growth of the department through the 70s, late 70s and 80s, when Don Roberts and Bill Boudreau really grew the programming and, the maintenance. Also took off then. They were very creative in their funding and what the equipment they brought in. A lot of it, Jim Marchese brought a lot in from Army surplus, and they made it work, and really helped set the basis for what is our, what our department is today. And then obviously we've had staff in recent years continue to grow on that and build on that and grow the department. So we're very excited for that. We will have the information out, to everybody well in advance of that meeting. And we'd just like to present each one with a small token of our appreciation as we induct them into the Parks and Recreation Department Hall of Fame.
Excellent. Just a real quick on that, Brendan. I know we've talked with you, I've talked with you and the staff about the 4 nominations, the 4 nominees, and I think they're all excellent, especially, you know what I mean? They've all done great things for the Recreation Department. I mean, Mark Sherwood, 22 years on the commission. I know Commissioner Sullivan's a little sad he doesn't have the longest tenure for that, but he tried real hard. But and then, of course, Doug Gillingham, excellent choice. I know Herb Changes, since they've been in town, has done great with all our events. And then Steve Noonan, I think he was on there when I was a kid. That's just a joke, but no, that's great. I thought the names that you came up with are awesome. Good job with you and your staff.
Thank you.
That's all I have on that, real quick. Anyone else have anything about the nominations? Good.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. The next item I have, this is a long-awaited item, I think. It's the Overlook Park, the demolition of the buildings up there. The town will be going out to bid on the demolition of the 2 old maintenance buildings at Overlook Park. So these are the buildings that will be demolished are the metal garage. So as you come through the gate right there out of the neighborhood, the bluey-green metal garage that goes down on your right, and then the building straight in front of you. That's a block building and the roof is deteriorated. So those buildings will be coming down. This is the final stage of the Department of Public Works, Parks and Recreation, Central Maintenance building projects. This we've been holding off as the new animal control facility got built out down on Great Meadow, across from the DPW garage. They're in one of the old water department buildings there. So they'll be able to move out of our garage because they've been using space up there. And we will be removing any remaining items in those garages. We don't have a lot. I think whatever's in the block building is, we've picked through there and gotten anything that's left inside will be part of the demo. And then the metal building, we've been storing a few things in there still, but we'll be able to shift those over to, there's a block building that goes along the left of the property as you come through the gate. We'll be able to move the items into there. And that is a weather-tight building, has a good roof on it and everything, so we'll keep that. And then, obviously, the Players building straight as you come through and maybe veer to the left a little, that's in the back, that will stay as well. That is staying as well, so. But we will, as that gets ready for demo, try to make everyone aware. If anyone wants to go see demo, people like it. So, yeah, they will do that. Hopefully, end of the month, beginning of October.
So, real quick, Brendan, so you're going to send something out to the neighborhood, letting them know that that little park's going to be closed while we're doing?
Yes, as soon as I'm notified of when they're going to start, we will. We can probably do
like a reverse 9-1.
Yeah, the code red is the system. We can do that and select the neighborhood,
Yeah.
just so they know.
Yeah, just because that, I mean, you don't want kids in there doing all that and all that type of stuff, so.
Right.
Whatever you can do, yeah,
Yep.
code red, that would be good.
And then, speaking of that site, the Community Theater Company of Burlington, or the Burlington Players, I recently met with their new president, who is Kristen Hughes, and their facility director, Jason Toppin, and to discuss the use of the building, long-term plans for the property, and to sign the agreement that was approved back in June. Remember, they had a change or they were having elections coming up, so we wanted to make sure we had a chance to meet with the current president, or the new president, and had conversations with them. So it was a very productive meeting, and they're looking to possibly redesign the bathrooms, and maybe coming before the commission in the future with plans. Right now, to get to, when you look at the building, it's a horseshoe, and you come in the middle of the horseshoe. To the right is the women's room, and I think you have to walk through the women's room to get to the back part of the building or the other part of the building. Now, during nights of shows and stuff, they try to make sure they don't need to get back there to get anything, but they're looking at a plan to potentially redesign those so they're separate. So as they work on those, they'll notify me, they'll work with the building inspector or the building department on any plans, but I should have them, when they're done with them, I'll get a copy as they go to the building department, so we can provide any feedback as well. And as part of the agreement, they do have to go through mass procurement laws, so, it is a town building, they do lease it from us, but they do have to follow all of the town procurement laws for the facility. And then my last item, just if you didn't see my email a couple weeks back, the reminder that September town meeting is not on the 25th of September. It has been moved to Wednesday, September 27th, because there is a Jewish holiday in there, so they have made the move. The only article we have is the will of Marshall Simons, the second approval.
Excellent.
That's it.
Okay. Any questions for Brendan? Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you. Just a couple of comments and a couple of questions. We were talking about the new Francis Wyman playground. I remember when a group of parents came before the Burlington School Committee many, many years ago, asking for some help with the playgrounds, and they were very active, and they did a phenomenal job fundraising, because back then, the town thought that we ought to fundraise first before anybody asked the town for money to support the playgrounds. And then gradually, the school committee took the position that we shouldn't be having parents running around trying to save up money for playgrounds. It's a town obligation. So when we need playgrounds, there should be a warrant article put before the town meeting and ask the town to support it and give the rationale. So it's nice to see that we've kind of made that transition. Hopefully, we didn't use private funding. Did we use any private funding for this project?
No, this was a warrant article that the school committee secured a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I believe. So it's been in the works for a little while, in trying to get, obviously with the dollars you have, trying to get everything you want in there, can be tough sometimes. But I think they did a nice job of that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely time to replace it, and it's going to be exciting to see how it comes out when they finally get the job done.
Some of that equipment started out at Simons Park first.
Really?
And when Simons Park was done, was moved down to Francis Wyman.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's a great facility, and I'm glad that they're going to upgrade it. I agree with everything Commissioner Norton said about the nominees for the Hall of Fame. We're going to honor them on October 2nd. Is that a settled date? Because
Yes.
I know you said something about a tentative date for our next meeting was October 2nd.
Uh,
We all good on that?
I think we locked that in. because we
it
wanted
was at
to
our
be able-
last
Yeah,
meeting, we
because I
locked it
wasn't
in.
at the-
Yes,
I just
sorry.
want to make sure,
Yes.
okay. On the Overlook Park, my only thought, and we're going to have a master plan, take a look at that, Weston and Sampson, or whoever it might be, and I'm just wondering if we should hold off on entering into any long-term arrangements with the Burlington players until we find out what their recommendations are. They might say, let's build a new facility for them over here and tear that building down. It's not in very good shape. My daughter used to perform over there many years ago. It was a nice facility for them, but there might be recommendations to put them in a better place. So I'm just wondering if we should kind of, put the brakes on a little bit with the players until we get the report in from Weston and Sampson.
Okay, on any remodel of their,
before
yeah,
they
because we
spend
have the
money,
agreement
yeah.
for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then it can be re-upped at that point. And I think that's probably enough time for, we're hoping to get a conceptual plan for that property before January, because we will be applying for a state or federal grant, for the, the entire property. And if we're successful with that, developing the property however we choose to, or, what recommendations we have. But I do want to say that, I think having the cultural piece on that property would be helpful for our grant application. That it's recreation, cultural, parks, so it's outdoors, it's some passive recreation, active recreation, and cultural really will help. So, but yes, their location on there, I don't think, our current agreement, I think we'll have, by the time everything comes around, we'll be all right. But yes, we can be, I don't want to say slow with any renovations, but let's make sure it's not, that maybe the two coincide.
Yeah.
I don't think they're ready to come next month and talk about bathrooms, but it's something they're looking at down the road. I think it's a project that this current group would like to see done there, their current leadership administration.
Okay.
So,
It's always a challenge.
but good point.
Always a challenge at intermission when you don't have good bathrooms.
That's right. That's right.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So saying that, going forward, especially with leases and the report we're going to have done by Weston and Sampson, if it gets approved, 2 years. But where that is located is a tough spot. But if we can build, that's another thing, because it is an older building. And we're getting the other buildings torn down except some storage places. And what we want to do at the park, or the future would be, where we could, I wouldn't want to see them spend a lot of money on something and then, 3 years later, well, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we could sit down with them and just sort of say, well, this is what we have going on. We don't want you to, I know they're thinking about it. We don't also want them to spend money on stuff that.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen, but, if they get this thing in their head that, we're going to spend, $30,000 on stuff, and, we come back to them a year later and say, well, we sort of want to move it over here.
Right. Yeah, I think that,
I don't know if they know what our plans are. We don't know what our plans are yet, so, but, you know what I mean?
no, I think some of the plan will come into focus a little bit more as we get into this conceptual plan and do some outreach for that area. But then I think it would be helpful to have a planning session, from the commission and talk about, some ideas for there. And we've met on the property and walked it before, so maybe this fall we'd plan another session like that.
Well, that is, like you say, though, the Burlington Players is a big part of that park.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be able to include them in the whole process going forward, for them and for, the commission. That's just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Thank you. Kelly's report, Assistant Director, Parks and Recreation.
Thanks, Steve. I just have a few things. End of summer programming occurred, and our program team did a great job of wrapping up all of the programs that we're running, both contracted and programming that we offer. They have completed all of their meetings with directors to talk about what worked well, what didn't work well, what we want to change for next year. We do all of that now, so it's fresh in our minds, and then develop a plan moving forward, and we start working on that plan in the coming months to start implementing next summer. So they did a great job with that. In addition to summer ending, our summer program ending, our fall program registration started to gear up. We had registration on August 29th. Non-resident registration also occurred last week, so enrollments seem to be rolling in pretty steadily. We haven't had to cancel too many programs due to low enrollment, which is always a great sign. And the board in the office is full of full programs, so that's always great to see as well. Later this month, Emma and I have the honor of presenting at the Vermont Recreation and Park Association Conference. We'll be presenting about our incentive plan and how we are hopefully retaining our staff members by the work we put in during the summer months to do so. So we are very excited about that. We'll be presenting on September 28th in Vermont. So that'll be good. And then my final thing, told you it would be quick, is the town clerk has asked that I remind board members that on September 28th from 4 to 7, a member from the Office of the Inspector General will be here to offer training for all boards and commissions. Know your responsibility. It's a 3-hour training. And she's asking that if anybody is interested in the training, or I have some more information here if you guys want me to send it out to you so you know specifically what the training entails. If you are interested in attending, that you RSVP to her. If you'd like, I can send an email out just giving you all of this information. You guys can let me know and I can RSVP on your behalf if you'd like.
Could you send it to all of us?
You got it. I'll do
That'd
it
be-
tomorrow.
Make it safe.
Yep.
I know, I would like this, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem, not a problem.
Everyone go with that? Good, yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
Any questions for Kelly? No? Kelly? Oh, yep, Commissioner
No, just a,
Nelson.
just a
Yep,
quick
yep.
comment, not really a question, Kelly. First of all, congratulations on the presentation that you're going to be
Oh,
making up in
thank you.
Vermont.
Thanks.
Quite an honor
That'd
to
be
be
great.
selected to do that. So I'm sure it's going to go very well for you and for Emma.
So-
And, you know, from everything I've seen, you had a great summer.
Summer was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of kids and a lot of programs. And, you know, it's always good to go walk into a program and see smiling faces and staff doing what they're supposed to be doing and building relationships and, you know, the high fives and the smiles, and that's what we want to see. So it was a good summer overall, I think.
I just say keep up the great work.
Thanks.
You and all the staff.
Thanks. I'll pass that along to them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Chairman's report, I have nothing to report right now, so I'm good on any subcommittee, anyone? Commissioner Gaffney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just the planning board met last Thursday, and we're looking for assignment of subcommittees. And although I played up the Recreation Commission, there were no other takers, so I'll be up for another year.
Well, we're glad to have you, Commissioner Gaffney.
Thank you.
You're very involved, and you're totally involved in the activities that go on in this town, so you're great to have on this board,
I think we have to question.
especially at the
his
parks.
Competence, though, Dick.
Yeah.
Decision, I don't know.
I know he's on the disc golf, yeah, the disc golf.
It's in good shape, too, even considering the wet weather, so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Is that a 2-year term? How long?
I think they're only doing it. they
Year to year?
Sign year to year, so happy to do it.
No, it's good to have you. Thank you. Anyone else on subcommittee?
No.
Nothing. So that we will go to new business. Brendan?
All right, thank you. The moment everyone's been waiting for. Pickleball. Okay. So we received 3 quotes for the resurfacing of the pickleball and street hockey courts up at Simons Park. As you may recall, we are going to swap the areas, so pickleball will be moving up next to the skate park, and street hockey will be moving down next to the tennis court. The lowest responsive bidder was Sports Tech, with a quote in the amount of $27,200. I am requesting the commission vote to award the contract for the Simons Park Pickleball Street Hockey Court resurfacing to Sports Tech of Beverly in the amount of $27,200.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Commissioner Nelson, seconded by Commissioner Gaffney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All disapprove?
Yes.
Disapprove?
No.
Oh, so it's 500. I thought you said no. I'm sorry. 500, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
So that's good. I'm glad that's getting done.
Yes, we're hoping to schedule that, well, we're planning to schedule it this September. You know, it's going to require the closure of courts at some point. Probably street hockey first as we install the sleeves, because we'll have to install 8 sleeves for the pickleball nets. And then, which is not part of this, that's a separate, we have a local contractor that will come in and do that for us. They have to core them, believe they'll cement them in, and then let them, have to make sure they set up correctly and they're straight. And then they'll have to go fill the sleeves on the other court. And then the sports tech will come in and resurface both. And when I say resurface, they will be repainting the surfaces with the appropriate paint. And they will probably want to do both courts at once, so it is going to require some closure. And then we are also going to have to move the Acoustic block up to the upper courts. And, it's taking it off the lower courts. They're 100 pounds each section, so it's not, going to be an easy task. It's going to be cumbersome, so we probably will lose some pickleball time. We'll try to make it as short as possible, because I do know we have some pickleball classes. So there will be some closures at some point.
So when we get close to that, can you let the residents near the pickleball courts, let them know that we will be, can we take down the acoustic sound barriers first and sort of move them away? And then it's so that, unless it's, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we
I
can
know what
get
you're saying.
everything done just a little.
Yeah.
Whatever plan we can come up with to get everything done quicker, right before they. Because I know the people with pickleball don't want that, and then I know the neighbors don't want it disrupted either, but whatever's the easiest way to make it happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item I had, I am going to just pull it for this evening, but we did receive one proposal. This is for the outdoor facility master plan. We did receive one proposal for the outdoor facility master plan from Weston and Sampson. They came in higher than what we have available funds for. Because they were the only proposal that we received, they were the lone responder, we do have the ability to negotiate with them. So I've reached out to them about having a conversation and waiting to hear back. This is an important plan for us, and it did come in a little higher than we had anticipated. They gave us a ballpark at one point.
Right.
And so we asked for a little bit more than that, but it came in even more than that. Now, we had some questions going through the proposal. We had some questions that things they might not have hit, or things that they were thinking they had to do more of. We have this outdoor facility, athletic facility plan that was done by the schools. That's supposed to be incorporated. They don't have to do all those fields all over again, right? We should take the information from the other professional company that did that plan. And then, the number of public meetings and outreach sessions and things like that. So we're going to work with them. Hopefully, we get it a lot closer. But this is a major plan for our department that we haven't had a new one in 3 years, going on 4 years now. Our last one expired in 2019. And, this is really, a lot has changed, not only from planning on what parks and what people wanted in parks and facilities over the year, from 20 years ago to now, but what people are looking for to go out in their recreation time and to do in parks has changed. So surfacing, actual equipment, amenities, things like that. So we really hope we can come to an agreement, because this is our planning document going forward for the next 20 years. And I'm sure in 20 years, when someone else is sitting here asking, and you guys are dealing with that person, that no one's saying, I'm not going to be here in 20 years. That's good. That's good. No, that, things will completely change from what we're asking for today. So just the way it is. But it really is a great planning document that, we hope we can come to an agreement on. The other item in there is that the Simons Park Playground, we asked for a conceptual plan, separate, those two separate items. And it's time Simons Park is done over. That's going to be a large capital project. And as we've mentioned before, we've had some interest from some community members that have connections in the business community, and they feel like they can, get some good funds dedicated for it. They just need to have some kind of conceptual plan to shop around to those corporations. So I am going to just hold it. I'm looking if we're able to come to some kind of agreement with them, potentially have a meeting prior to town meeting on the 27th.
So let's open this up for a quick discussion. I would adhere to you, Commissioner Nelson. I've never been through this as far as you renegotiate something where we had one bidder. I don't know how this process works. I mean, we sit there and you're sitting across from them and we're coming up with
Yeah, well, I guess we have the option to negotiate, because there's only one bidder. We could put it back out to bid again, a second time, but we're gonna probably get the same result unless we get more funding. So I think if Brendan and his team can talk to Weston and Sampson, get them to come down a little bit, we might be able to find some other resources to make up the difference. It doesn't have to come all the way down to 62.
Right.
We had 62 from town meeting.
Correct, yep.
So we can supplement that.
Is this something that we can go to town meeting on September 27th?
No.
No, because this, all right, so this is just,
Yeah.
this is just something we're going to...
We would have to wait until May town meeting. We
January.
could potentially do January. I
Yeah,
don't think they like to
it.
do,
We could
yeah.
probably do it.
But if we had to, we could.
But the special meeting is important because every week counts. If we wait till October 2nd, we have a lot
Right,
of
right.
other things going on, so if we can, we're all gonna, I don't know if we're all going to town meeting, it's just, I don't want to say it's just Marshall Simons, but it's never been rejected in history because it's a gift. So,
Yeah, that's...
Right.
we don't really have to
Right.
be there other than Brendan, really, to make the
So
presentation.
you come, so we'll have a meeting right after you have the negotiation.
Yes, as soon as we can come to some kind of agreement, I will notify you guys, and if you would like to proceed, if that's something that we think we can work out, we can have a meeting. We need 48 hours notice to do a meeting, and we can just have a short meeting just to vote on that.
We can have that up at the recreation...
Sure. Yep.
We could have it here if we do it the night of town meeting. We can have it in that little classroom.
Right,
Yeah,
that we've
as long
done
as we-
before, and then,
As long as
and
we have a
then,
quorum, yeah, that's
Right.
good. Okay.
and then I'll stay for town meeting, and whoever wants to stay with me and have a good time, we can do that.
Depends upon where we are
All
on the
right, all
agenda.
right.
That's right.
I just never, since I've been on this board, I've never seen that, so I just want to make sure.
Yes. So if we had received a number of proposals and they were all higher, we'd probably look at going back out, and maybe we'd have to pull something out of our request and what we were looking for.
Okay. That's a big difference, though, from what the number that they, and we went higher. Did they give you any, can they tell
Well,
you
it was a
I don't know
different, again, I haven't had a conversation with them yet, but it was a different person that submitted the proposal than who
Because
we
we
were
work
talking
with
to.
these guys, obviously, maintenance building, and towns work with them. Usually they're pretty close to the number that they throw out there, so see if we can figure out what's going on there. All right, thank you, Brendan.
You're welcome.
You can continue.
Okay. Our next discussion item for tonight, we've talked about this a couple times this summer, about Burlington Youth Soccer has approached us about having portable lights at Mary Cummings Park on the section that the town maintains, that we have an agreement with the city of Boston to use. This is something we were waiting on them to decide that they wanted to proceed with it at their meeting, and at their last meeting in August, they did vote in their group to proceed with it. So, as you know, it does get darker earlier in September. I heard on my way over here, this is the last 7 p.m., sunset until next spring. So, we do know it's coming. So this would allow them to practice. There's 2 fields, 2 9v9 fields, and then 1 full-size 11v11 that goes the length of the park. So this would allow them to have, 2 teams out there on the smaller fields practicing at once and go a little bit later, past 5:30. High school, one of the requests or reasons for the request is, the high school does use some of our fields like Rohannes Park, they use Memorial to practice on. So it limits when they can get out onto a field and practice and really shrinks down that time, like to an hour maybe, that they can get out and practice. So by having this extra lit field, it will hopefully give them a little longer to practice and more teams out there, practicing each week. So they have asked about having the lights from September 18th through November 3rd. I did speak with the portfolio manager for the trustees of the reservation, and I also spoke with representative from the City of Boston, from their trust division, and both were in agreement that it wouldn't, it doesn't break the agreement we have with the City of Boston. We've read through the agreement. They're not permanent. It's temporary. We answered the question about, doing solar as opposed to gas. I feel like the solar panels sitting in wide open all day, even on a gloomy day, you have experience with solar, right, Jared?
Yes.
Yeah. So, having that, up there, the tower's raised 15 feet maybe when they crank them up. It's not going to be casting huge amounts of light throughout Burlington, right? It is at a higher point. The neighbors are set down below. There is a line of growth in trees along the end that goes along South Bedford Street. And I think the lights that would face that way would be all the way at the other end of the field anyways. So I would be okay with this on a trial, like not saying every year we do this, but really see how it goes this year. And then, see if it's something they thought worked well before we say, we'll do this going forward. But I think we need to set some parameters.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that the commission approve the use of temporary solar lighting at the Mary Cummings Park between the date of September 18th and November 3rd for the year 2023 on a trial basis, with the director to set the parameters for the timing of the use of the lights.
Second.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Nelson, second by Commissioner Carlson. Discussion. So I'll open up discussion as far as, do we want to set what time these lights are going to shut off?
Do you have a recommendation yet, Brendan?
I would recommend 9 would be my latest. I'd like to see 8:30, to be honest with you.
I like 8:30 myself.
gives them
just
4 to
because I don't want
8:30.
kids out there at 9 o'clock at night
Yeah.
that should be.
It's 4.5 hours of extra light.
Well, then, Mr. Chairman, I'll amend the previous motion by deleting the reference to leaving the use of the lights up to the discretion of the director, and the motion will include the timeframe of, for use of the lights between 4:30 and 8:30 p.m.
Excellent.
Second.
Second. Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
500. Thank you, Brendan. You guys are good with that, right? 8:30?
Sorry. The only other item I have along with that, I'm sorry, I didn't know we were going to move this quick. Like to see like a Monday through Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Correct.
that would be, I think weekends, there's opportunities to, if they need a large field, to use turf field on a weekend.
Plus, they have the whole day then, too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Right.
okay. So we've got to amend motion? Amend the
Yeah,
amendment?
sorry. You guys went quick. I didn't know
I'm
you were going to go
sorry.
that quick. Sorry, Steve.
That's my fault. That's my fault. I should have, it's right here in the notes anyway. So I'll take the bullet on that one,
Okay,
Steve. It's not your fault.
Do you want us to make a second motion for the days of the week?
Yeah, we can just do a second motion, right? On the.
Yeah, I'll withdraw the first motion, okay? I'll
Yeah.
withdraw the first motion, and I'll make a new motion. Now you're going to make me say this one.
Yeah, see, you're good at this.
Let's see if I do it right.
It's 100% my fault,
Mr.
so
Chairman,
don't worry.
I vote that the recreation, I move that the recreation vote to approve the use of temporary solar lights at the Mary Cummings Park between the date of September 18 and November 3rd, and between the days of the week of Monday through Friday, and with the time frame of 4:30 PM to 8:30 PM for the year 2023 only, on a trial basis.
Excellent. You got it perfect. Second? Second, Commissioner Carlson. All in favor? Aye. 500. I knew we'd get through that. Sorry about that,
Practice
Steve.
makes
No,
perfect.
sorry.
Don't worry about it.
So that's it for new business. Any old business, Brendan?
I will state that Burlington Youth Soccer will be responsible for the
Yeah,
cost.
yeah.
We are not responsible
Yeah,
for the cost.
that's fine. We're not going to do that. That's
Yep.
good. Any old business, Brendan?
No, I do not have any old business at this time.
Any reason for an executive session?
No.
So we've come up with an agenda for our next meeting. Anything we want to put on there? We've already come up with a date of October 2nd that I hope is good with everyone. And then, obviously, with the negotiation going on with Weston and Sampson, if we have to meet at any time, we can come up with, hopefully with the, that would be a 5-minute meeting. We can come up, if we gotta, I'll probably, if we're gonna meet on September 27th at town meeting, we can make that happen.
Okay.
You guys good with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, so yes, you guys gotta be there anyway, so we should be able to vote on it that night. So our next meeting will be October 2nd here at 6 o'clock, Brendan?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, and we are out of here at a motion to what time is it? 6:52.
Take a vote, Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm in favor of it.
All in favor?